All right.
All right, so today we're going to start looking at routing and attribute routing in ASP.NET Core using Visual Studio. And let's just jump right into it here. ASP.NET Core Web Application Template in Visual Studio. You can also, if you use Visual Studio Code, you can run the .NET new, I believe it's MVC template. And
Thomas, you're not showing any other window other than the notepad, right? Because we can see the notepad and the desktop.
Okay, let me switch to my remote desktop.
Just for the benefit of those who just joined, today Thomas will be leading our study group, and he's going to tell us about routing and templates as well.
Let me just start over here. Yeah, we're just going to talk about routing and attribute routing in ASP.NET Core using Visual Studio. And create a new project.
We're still seeing a blank screen, unfortunately.
Okay. So let me just share my whole screen here. I was going to share my remote desktop, so just hang on. It's going to be my whole screen. Can you see my screen now?
It's showing a black screen.
Yes, for me as well. Are you trying to share the complete screen or just an application?
Just the complete screen.
Yeah, we can see it now.
Ah, okay. There was some option in the Zoom share on the bottom. There was some check boxes where it says optimize. Okay, so create a ASP.NET Core application in .NET Core 3.1 using Visual Studio 2019. And creating a new project. It's going to be ASP.NET Core web application. And it's going to use the MVC template. And routing starts with some startup settings, mainly this one here. This is sort of a hello routing. We'll call it maybe configuration. at this point in time. Basically, this tells the application where to find the controller and the methods in those controllers using a pattern. And in this case, it's gonna find the home controller and it's gonna find the index method. So let's just try to run it, see what happens. Okay, so we have our template that was generated by the template that came with Visual Studio. And basically what happened was the routing presented this view here to us. We can also just return a view. Yeah, so this index here, you can call it an endpoint. In MVC, it's probably a page. But, you know, an endpoint can return anything, HTML, a string, you know, a file, an image. So that's the built-in routing typically, or sometimes you don't have to change that, you know. It follows a pattern that says use the name of the controller, the first part here, ignore the controller part, and that's going to be a part of your routing. And the routing is a table of endpoints. So when you go into different endpoints, you will see different things. And I think I'm actually going to demo this using another application because this application is not really that interesting. So we're going to look at a MVC.NET, I think it's core, that uses routing. Let's try this demo here. And already here in the login, you can see a route. It's basically this login screen is and something called an area using an account controller using a login method. And when I sign in, it goes to this demo area. It's based on Northwind, which is a demo database that Microsoft used for a specific version of SQL Server. And you can see the routing here. Up in the address is the base name of the website, an area, a controller, and product. And the product just gives us a list here. When you click on the product, you can see the address changed a little bit. Now it has a some more information about, you know, the specific product that I clicked on. So this application is basically a good demo of routing. Any questions so far? Okay. So back to startup. So there's a lot of different variation of a routing. This one uses the sort of a template to figure out the route based on what controllers is in your controller folder here. I could add another controller here. As long as I name it a name, you know, could be any name, and it'll go in and find the actions, which are the method in that controller, and it would find that route automatically. And what if you don't want to use this sort of way of doing things with controllers? So you have another way of doing things than what's outlined in the template. That is possible. So this one basically works without controller. You have to install a or reference a component. And I'm gonna run this, come up with an error because there's currently no endpoint at the root. It says 404 not found. That just means that it went through the routing table, which is a list of all the known endpoints, and it didn't find anything that matched the root. And then it gives you 404. So you can see here's a controller-free endpoint that's mapped to a GET, HTTP GET. So in the HTTP protocol, you have GET, POST, popular, and some other methods. And this one specifically maps the GET method of the HTTP protocol on your server. You could also return a file or a piece of HTML here. Or JSON or XML. I'm wondering if these two works together. Let's try it. Working together. Okay, so we got the traditional default routing based on the types, you know, the controllers and their methods that's found. That's actually mapped or automatically mapped through this map controller out here using this template. And then we have our custom endpoint, controller free. Okay, so you can combine those two. So the map get is mapped to a specific piece of code here. In this case, here's a static string, but you can imagine this going out in your file system on your server and finding a file or returning something else. Than this, I don't need a controller. This could be anything that you want to return.
So with the default map controller route, it says that the pattern is home/index.
Mm-hmm.
Does it do the same if I have that in the URL /home/index?
We can try it. Yep.
Okay. And without index? Just home, just /home.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Index, just I'll chime in here quickly. Index, if our view was index name, that's why it worked like this. But let's say our view would have been employee, then this would not have worked without the view name. Index or default is something which the browser understands that is the by default area. So whenever we write something like home/, it first go and looks at the index or default. So
yeah,
that's why this worked. But if let's say our index name would have been something else other than action name would have been anything other than index, it won't have worked for us. So
that's right.
that's something that just I wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Got
basically,
it.
those defaults here made it work. If we remove these defaults here, I think, let's see here. Yeah, we get 404 not found, but if you go into the specific home, we should get something. So the default status put in here, if you don't specify any controller action, it'll default to these. And then because these are default, when you don't specify them, it'll still find the page in this case. You could have another one. So you have an API. The API could look something like that. Just like by default, you can have a default mapping that automatically finds your endpoints, and that's probably why they put it in template. This is the probably the easiest. That'll work for most cases. But you can add your own custom way of defining these routes, or you can just hard code the endpoints using specific paths. You could also imagine you could have SEO friendly, like for example, product. My favorite car, right? I'm actually too tall for Toyota Camry, but that's the only thing I could. Camry. So search engine, they changed the rules on how they, find good results. And if you make a website and you want to be on the top of Google search, you have to jump through hoops to appear on the top of the search. It used to be that URL is a important part of getting to the first results in the Google search. I'm not sure how important that is today. It's probably somewhat important. But anyway, this is SEO, and SEO stands for search engine optimization, and it's basically a search engine optimization friendly URL that'll say something that'll enable this. If this was a public website, then you might get closer to the top in search results, which is going to drive more business to or more visitors to your website. So let's see if this works here. So we can use this endpoint here. See if we can get to something about the car. There it is. So if this was a public website, Google Web Crawler, which is something that goes out and look at websites and trying to figure out, you know, how relevant they are. If people are searching for, they'll grab the URL and put this somewhere in their ranking logic. And if Toyota was promoting their Camry, they will be get a higher ranking in the search result, which means they're going to sell more cars, hopefully. So that's another way of doing routing other than, you know, this default based on controller name and method, and that's called attribute routing. And let's try to use it together with this here. Just using another, actually I can't test it with this. So let me just disable this for now. Just a second. The configuration piece we need to set up here. And services. So this map controller route, it would go in and look at the controllers. It would look at the name of the type, and it would go in and look at the methods in that controller. It would automatically create the routing table based on the type name. We disabled that, and instead we're gonna decorate with attribute we can do it like this. We can also actually let's put it here. This. Say we don't want to call this home controller. I'm going to call it something else. And this index, we don't want to call that index. We're going to call that It's the route. So we got basically overwritten the name with product and the index with details. So I expect this going to work. Of course, when we run it, it's going to give her a 404 because when you start the application, it's going to default to the root. So you see an error here. There's 404. And then this one should, if I can spell it right here. This gave us a custom route or address to this index method here using attributes. You can also stack these. So for example, I just want the default route for product. Okay, because it's still running here. I want the default route. When I just say product, I just want to get to the details right away. So we get the 404 because there's still nothing at the root. But we have to go to product. Okay, it found a discrepancy between some of the other methods that are here. So I'm just going to disable those for now here. Because these actually by default, so what I just learned here is these actually have this right here. So if I call these something else, and here, should work. Now there's no ambiguity. It's almost going to default to the index. So we're going to get the 404 because there's still no product in the routing table. But that's the product. So what if we want to default the whole app to go into here? We just add a an empty route here, which is the root. So now this will run attribute-based routing. The root will be product. Actually, the root will be home controller, and it will default to indexed through this attribute-based routing. Any questions? Ideas? And we can, so we can see the route is now mapped to, and we can still go to, we can still go to the full address or a route, and it'll end up in the same location. So this pretty much covers the basics of routing. And
so Thomas, can you please go to that code again?
yeah.
Yeah, and the default, default action method is taking index as the route you have given empty, or it is taking default index action method as it's written as index. Can we make it the privacy action method as the default? If we can make that route empty route one empty route, yeah, in privacy action method, the next one.
This one?
Yeah,
Oh.
this one. Yeah, yes.
You want to remove this?
No, I don't want to remove that one. Just remove that empty route from the index method. Yeah, cut this. Yeah, cut this. Okay. Yes, right. And put empty method, empty route in privacy.
Okay. Okay. Hang on. Just a second. I'm just rebuilding here. So let's try that. Privacy, we do empty route. So what do you expect? What do you expect is going to happen now?
So the default, it will open, get the data from that privacy action method.
Yep. Let's try it. I think you're right. Yeah. Thanks for that. So you can move your default in between the methods in here. Using the empty route. More questions regarding routing and attribute routing? Let's just finish attribute routing. Actually running a little bit short on time here. Just want to introduce you to something called middleware. It might be a little bit confusing. It is to me. So that's why I want to bring it up here. So this whole thing, this setup here is setting up some functionality in a pipeline, in a request response pipeline. Request comes in from a client, the browser, or a client, and the response comes out. In order to intercept or, for example, if you want to look at the route values here, that was collected during the build, you can add this middleware here. And I think there was another person that was demonstrating air handling and using air handling using middleware. It's basically something that happens in the request response pipeline. Data coming in, data going out. And we're just going to use it to see what's in route values here. And that's just, we want to debug and we want to see. I actually never run this before, so let's see what happens. Okay, it compiled. It's always good. Anyway, we can see a request came in and the method was a get and the path was the root and various information about the request, the host, local host on the port here, and what was in the request from the client. So using middleware, you can inspect, you can also handle certain requests and also I think responses in the middleware. So moving on to the next topic, install and use Bootstrap. So what is Bootstrap? Bootstrap is it's a framework. So what's a framework? Well, framework is sort of, in software world, it's a set of libraries. In this case, it's a set of JavaScript and CSS that's been like curated and bundled into something, a product that they call Bootstrap. And it's directed at responsive. And responsive means that the site will it will transform into a format that suits different devices. So actually, let's go back to our site here and run it, because I believe this one already has Bootstrap installed. And we're going to see how that works. We're going to see how responsive works. So you can see the website here. It's it looks like this, but when you go into when you click on this mobile layout here, you can see we actually get this hamburger menu here. So it takes the desktop version, and when it's on the mobile, it says, okay, take the menu and put it in this hamburger menu. And that's one of the things, that's an example of what Bootstrap can do for you. You don't have to, well, this is made by the template. So the people who made the template, they used Bootstrap, and, you know, that's what they decided. They decided to put a hamburger menu here. See some more about Bootstrap. Mobile first. So it's really geared towards mobile layout, and it's a front end for front-end web development. So what is front-end?
Bye.
Front-end is, so if you look at a website, it has a front-end, which is what's in the browser, and then it has a back-end. In a modern app, you have a front-end and a back-end, and that back-end will have an API, and the front-end will have a, you know, the HTML and the JavaScript and the Bootstrap, the CSS. So front-end, like Bootstrap is something you use in the front end in the presentation of a website. It contains CSS. CSS is cascading style sheets. It's a language to describe presentation, you know, font color, and those kind of things. It also has a JavaScript library building to help with some of the responsive. So you can control typography, forms, buttons, and navigation through Bootstrap. And let's create a site that doesn't have Bootstrap and install it, because it's already here in this site. It is actually if it's not in the site, then it's in the layouts page view. So it's actually here. That was Alexa. So we can see here in our layouts, which is used to be called master pages in the web forms. In Razor Views and Pages, it's called, it's just a shared layout. And I have a reference here to Bootstrap. So you can actually install Bootstrap. You can see this version of Bootstrap here is version 4. Let's just install a newer version of Bootstrap here. See how we want to upgrade the Bootstrap. We have to go to Tools. We're going to get it through a NuGet package here. So that's the Bootstrap NuGet package. I want to install it for my app. You can see the latest table is newer than what we have installed. Newer is always better. And that was set with some irony. New is not always better. Okay, we have some new files here that was put in different locations. So now we have Bootstrap inside our CSS folder. It used to be down here in our lib folder. So this is the old version of Bootstrap here. And this is the new version of Bootstrap. See, the version is newer. So in order to enable the newer version here, you have two options. You can copy these files down in the lib bootstrap dist and overwrite them, or you can change the references from in your layout page here to reference the new bootstrap, the new location. That would be just I believe this one here. So now I just changed from the, and I can actually delete this bootstrap version installed by the template. Okay, so we're actually running out of time, which is perfect because I don't have a whole lot on tag helpers, which is the last topic here. Let's just look at some code and so real quick here, Google tab helpers. And that's gonna be, let me see. For the tag helpers, they basically will generate some HTML for you based on some tags. So instead of writing an anchor tag, you can generate links using a tag helper that's referencing, for example, properties in your model or your controller or your method in your controller for links. So I was thinking we could just, there's a demo here for this that we can download sample code here. Basically, this code here is available, and we can download that using Git. So it'd be okay. Git is not recognized. That means I don't have Git. Git is a source control client. Just get this. So we need to install Git. There it is. It's a quick install. It's basically just a console app that'll give you some the ability to get this sample code. So all right. Try now. Okay, probably restart the command shell here. should have done this before. Okay, this is taking too long, so we're just going to switch to the Git repo and look at the code there. This looks like it's full of all kinds of interesting symbols. That was tech helper. And it's basically be mostly using tag helpers in the views, because this is related to presentation. I don't see a big difference between what you did and the view presentation, Daphne. I still see a model here, an add model, and a property. So just
I think the pages you're picking just don't have tag helpers in them, or the views.
Okay. So where are the tag helpers?
Well, they're in there somewhere, I guess, but I don't see them because you're going to see like ASP4. A lot of them start with ASP.
Try the home one.
Mm-hmm.
Add partial tag helper.
There you go. That looks like it. Good.
There's one ASP controller. Everything in purple is a tag helper.
Yeah, that's a tag helper right here. So instead of writing a href that has a speaker / evaluation, you can use a tag helper, and that'll generate the anchor tag with the href for you. So it's just a different way of doing things. Any questions? It's a little bit more friendly. So this is the back end of the view. And when this comes out to the browser, you will see an href with a or anchor tag with a href that has the route speaker evaluations, speaker / evaluations, and this will be a hyperlink in the final page in the browser.
All right, so instead of hard coding the href of what we plan to have the route to be, we use these tag helpers, which would automatically generate this based on our route template that we have set.
So this one translated into old school would be, so we can do before was okay, I'm just gonna copy this here. Speaker evaluations. And so before it was, you would do this, And with Tag Helper, you would do this. So pick your poison.
Got it.
That's pretty much all I got.
Okay.
Any questions? Well, thanks for participating, and
Thank you very much, Thomas.
Thank you.
You have explained a lot of things. And this tag helper, it's if you know that in web form, ASP.NET web form, it's one type of user control. Can I think that way?
I'm not exactly. I haven't used Tag Helper in production. Yeah, so yeah.
Anyway, you have explained a lot of things really very nice way. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for participating. Talk to you later.
Thank you. Thanks, Thomas. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Thomas.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.